And we are here and we are live with Rich, his dog, and I am not at my Virginia home. I'm in another home because, hey, everyone has to have multiple homes, right?
Well, I mean, at least once in your life.
Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead. We are going to be talking about the new lawsuit that the DOJ just dropped a few minutes ago. Okay, so it is a couple days before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was snoring, not even Pam Bondi's anti-gun DOJ that pretends to be a pro-gun DOJ, but every once in a while when they pretend to be pro-gun, they do something good. And this is one of those days where they are actually suing DC over DC's unconstitutional gun law that bans stuff like AR-15s. We're going to get into it. And Rich, are you ready?
Ready, Crumpy.
Here we go. Sorry about the little thing. I don't know why it keeps on doing that, but whatever. And this is going to do it now too. Whatever. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put this up on the screen here. And I'll blow it up a little bit.
No, well, make it bigger. The ATFE would be, or BATFE would be unhappy if you blew it up.
Hold on.
How come Matt Hoover's not watching? I watch his stuff.
All right. Can you see it all right now, Rich?
Yeah, even with my bad eyesight.
For some reason, I can't get on my other screen. I don't know what's going on.
You can't get it up?
Whatever. So let's go ahead and read it.
Okay, plaintiff, the United States of America, by and through its undersigned counsel, hereby brings this action against defendants, District of Columbia Chief of Police Pamela Smith, Chief Smith, in her official capacity as Chief of the Metropolitan Police Department, District of Columbia, and Metropolitan Police Department of the District of Columbia, MPD, collectively DC defendants. Introduction on February 10th, 2003, Dick Heller, I like Dick. An active duty special policeman sued the local government of our nation's capital because the DC Code did not trust him to possess a firearm in his home for self-defense. 5 years later, the U.S. Supreme Court found in favor of Mr. Heller and recognized that law-abiding citizens have the right to possess arms protected under the Second Amendment inside the home for lawful purposes to keep and bear those arms are in common use today. See New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin. Thank you, Judge Thomas. District of Columbia v. Heller. Less than a year later, the Council of the District of Columbia, you got to scroll up. There's a bunch of graphics in the way.
All right, hold on. Hold
Crump's writing his fifth book while we're doing
No, I was trying to fix something.
All right. Less than a year later, the Council of the District of Columbia, counsel the governing body of our nation's capital, amend its broad gun possession registration requirement to carve out, in response to Heller, a requirement that someone who is not a registered gun owner may only possess a registered gun owner's gun if that person would otherwise qualify to register the gun, and only if the person reasonably believes that such possession is necessary to prevent their imminent death or great bodily harm. Holy crap. Over the years since Heller, the Council continued efforts to infringe the Second Amendment protected right of the people to keep and bear arms through limiting law-abiding citizens' ability to register commonly used firearms and criminalizing the possession of firearms that it refuses to register. Specifically, the District of Columbia denies law-abiding citizens the ability to register a wide variety of commonly used semi-automatic firearms such as the Colt AR-15 series rifles, which is among the most popular firearms in America, and a variety of other semi-automatic rifles and pistols that are in common use. Indeed, DC's current semi-automatic firearms prohibition that bans many commonly used pistols, rifles, or shotguns is based on little more than cosmetics, appearance, or the ability to attach accessory, and fails to take into account whether the prohibited weapon is in common use today, or that law-abiding citizens may use weapons for lawful purposes protected by the Second Amendment. See Heller. Therefore, the district's restrictions lack legal basis.
All right, I just want to get into this. If you don't recall, a few years ago, Tucker Carlson had a Democrat on that wanted to ban AR-15s. And one of the things that she was talking about is, yeah, you should ban everything that has a barrel shroud. And Tucker Carlson goes,
oh, we're on YouTube.
What's a barrel shroud? And she had no clue, even though that she wanted to ban stuff about it. And Heller, they specifically said that the government cannot ban firearms or arms. They didn't say firearm, arms,
right,
because it applies to not only firearms, but also stun guns and knives and everything else. They can't ban arms that are in common use unless they check off two boxes. One, they are dangerous and unusual. And is a big word here, because what we have seen over the past few years is places try to twist that into dangerous or unusual. And being a firearm, let's be honest, all firearms in the hands of the wrong person can be dangerous. So if you get rid of the and change that to or, you can ban whatever you want. And a lot of places and a lot of judges actually have tried to do that. The AR-15, also known as the modern musket, is the most popular gun in the United States when it comes to long guns. The AR-15 is more popular than any other long gun out there. But the governments such as DC, California, Maryland, New York, Illinois, and a bunch of other places try to ban it by using the dangerous and unusual exception, but they're not really any more dangerous than any other firearm on the planet, and they're definitely not unusual. What they try to do is they try to claim that, oh, they actually meant unusual for self-defense, which they didn't say, but AR-15s are great for self-defense. But they say, oh, they're unusual for self-defense because we don't track that, and we don't know exactly how many times the AR-15 was used for self-defense. So we're just going to assume that they're hardly ever used for self-defense because according to places like Illinois, in the Illinois case, the Illinois assault weapons case, when they were arguing in front of the circuit court, they argued that you only need 2.5 rounds. Don't even ask me how you get 2.5 rounds. The half round is weird.
It's a half trigger pull. That gets you the half round.
To defend yourself. Therefore, AR-15s and any gun that carries more than 2.5 rounds is not needed for self-defense, and therefore not in common use for self-defense. But Heller never said in common use for self-defense. It just said in common use. All right. Just wanted to
so they're trying to make it 3 different ways that it isn't.
Correct. All right, keep on going.
Let's see. Acting pursuant to the authority granted by them, the D.C. Code governing Washington, D.C. Chief Smith and MPD enforce the provisions of the District of Columbia Code. These provisions include the power to approve or deny certificates of registration for firearms. Their decisions to deny certificates of registration for commonly possessed semi-automatic firearms run afoul of binding Supreme Court precedent and therefore trample the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens. This case concerns much more than dormant bad law. It concerns the very real requirement that DC defendants have acted and are continuing to act in blatant disregard of our Constitution and rulings of the nation's highest court. Also, New York does the same thing. The United States of America brings this lawsuit to protect the rights that have been guaranteed for 234 years and which the Supreme Court has explicitly reaffirmed several times over the last 2 decades.
All right. I just want to bring up a fact. DC has a history of ignoring cases, like with concealed carry permits, so the Wren case. Right. They kept on going back. The Supreme Court kept on saying, this thing that you're doing is unconstitutional. Stop it. Then they would change the law, make it another unconstitutional thing, and they would change it over and over and over again until the Supreme Court finally got fed up with it and invalidated all gun laws in DC, which led to scrambling by the DC government. And overnight, they fixed their law to make it constitutionally compliant. But it just took the Supreme Court pulling all their laws to do that. I'm going to continue reading. Right here, just goes who everyone is, the United States government, Chad Smith, all that. Then it goes into the jurisdiction and venue here. And let's go down here to background. Law-abiding citizens have the constitutional right to possess a firearm in the home operable for purpose of immediate self-defense. This right extends to arms commonly in use today. District of Columbia criminalizes possession of firearms that is not registered with MPD. Certain categories of firearms may never be registered in DC, which means they may never be legally possessed inside the home by law-abiding citizens for self-defense, public defense, target shooting, or other lawful purposes.
Until Star Trek transporters get realized.
Yeah, I kind of like that because it brings up the fact that it's just not for self-defense. It's for all lawful purposes. And if you ask me, it'd be unlawful purposes too, but whatever. But all lawful purposes, that's what the courts have said. DC tries to say for self-defense, and you see that with a lot of anti-gun people saying for self-defense. The registration prohibition of an array of weapons currently in common use in America, including semi-automatic rifles like the AR15 and numerous other pistols and shotguns. Other semi-automatic weapons defined as prohibited assault weapons, for example, semi-automatic pistols that have the capability to accept a detachable magazine and a threaded barrel, semi-automatic shotguns that has a pistol grip that protrudes conspicuously beneath the action of the weapon. The term pistol grip is not defined. So go ahead, Rich, take back over.
If law-abiding citizens possess a Second Amendment protected firearm that is not registerable in DC in the home for a lawful purpose of self-defense, that individual faces anything from an administrative fine to a criminal misdemeanor conviction punishable by up to 1 year in jail, $2,500, allowing for administrative disposition of certain offenses at the prosecution's discretion. Chief Smith and MPD routinely arrest law-abiding citizens for possessing firearms that are protected under the Second Amendment but not registerable in DC. See code. Upon information and belief, the DC defendants will continue to execute their duties as prescribed by law. Gotta scroll.
No, sorry.
Quit texting senators while you're online.
No, it's not. It's day job stuff.
The Attorney General for the District of Columbia and the Office of the Attorney General for the District of Columbia have the authority to prosecute all misdemeanor firearm offenses and seek enforcement of related fines. As a result, the conduct by all DC defendants, which is the District of Columbia's law, mandates law-abiding citizens who own firearms protected under the Second Amendment are prevented from registering and therefore legally possessing within the meaning of local ordinance such firearms within the nation's capital and some case law. As a result of conduct by all D.C. defendants, which the District of Columbia's law mandates law-abiding citizens possessing firearms protected under the Second Amendment face arrest, fines, prosecution, and forfeiture of their property unless and until court enjoins D.C. defendants and enters the declaratory relief that the United States is seeking. D.C. defendants will continue enforcing the unconstitutional provisions of D.C. law. Count 1. Unconstitutional pattern or practice of preventing possession of firearms protected under the Second Amendment by law-abiding citizens for lawful purposes. The United States realleges and incorporates by reference the allegations set forth in paragraphs 1 to number. This must be a draft. The United States is authorized under 34 U.S.C. blah to seek declaratory and equitable relief to eliminate a pattern or practice of law enforcement officer conduct that deprives persons of rights, privileges, or immunities secured or protected by the Constitution or other laws of the United States. The Second Amendment of the United States Constitution generally protects the right of law-abiding individuals to keep and bear arms in common use for lawful purposes, such as self-defense while in the home. See generally Heller. Scroll up. DC Code currently prohibits the registration of AR-15 and other semi-automatic rifles, which makes it illegal for law-abiding citizens to possess these firearms in the home for lawful purposes. The AR-15 is a firearm in common use for lawful purposes. Other semi-automatic rifles that DC Code bans are also in common use by law-abiding citizens for lawful purposes. Handguns are the most popular weapon chosen by Americans for self-defense in the home. Shotguns, not otherwise barred by federal law and protected under the Second Amendment, are not only commonly used for lawful purposes, but they also provide an important means of self-defense. See McDonald v. Chicago. And
I wanted to say, there is a couple shotguns that are registered as destructive devices that are barred by federal law, including the Street Sweeper, which is a dumbass shotgun to begin with because you have to fucking wind it, which is ridiculous. And it's no more dangerous than a bunch of other shotguns out there. But for some reason, it's considered a destructive device. I think it's because of that Nelly song.
Probably the name.
You know that Nelly song?
Not a Nelly. No, I don't know that Nelly song. I'm 60 years old, John.
Well, you were probably 40 when it came out, or 35 when it came out.
Also,
Street Sweeper, baby. Never mind.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It probably wasn't because of the Nelly song, but I just like to pretend like it is. No, keep on going.
Okay, there is no exception in DC or in the DC Code to the registration prohibition of the firearms currently banned under DC Code, yet otherwise protected under the Second Amendment for law-abiding citizens seeking to possess them for lawful purposes. There is no historically analogous prohibition of broad ban of firearms that are in common use by law-abiding citizens for lawful purposes such as self-defense inside the home. That's Bruin. There is no historical analogous justification for the prohibition of broad ban of commonly used firearms by law-abiding citizens for lawful purposes such as self-defense inside the home. Chief,
stop right there. Here, Street Sweeper baby, cocked, ready to let it go. Shimmy, shimmy, double what? Listen to me now. You never heard that?
Absolutely.
I'm going down,
never
down, baby. Your street in a Range Rover.
Absolutely never heard it. Would have been more appropriate in a G-Wagon, but...
Well, back then, this old song, man.
Chief Smith and the MPD are law enforcement authorities subject to the prohibition in USC 34-1260-01A, and the officers in their employ are law enforcement officers who act on DC defendants' behalf in discharge of their duties, including the duty to process and approve applications for firearms registrations within DC.
Yeah, country grammar, baby. You don't know country grammar, Rich?
Neither that also. I mean,
All
we
right.
talk
Well,
Pink
that's the
Floyd.
same. It's a song. It's the name of the song.
Can we talk about Pink Floyd,
All
Dark
right,
Side of
come
the
on.
Moon? The District of Columbia is a governmental entity within the meaning of 34 USC 12601A, and defendants, Chief Smith and MPD, carry out its duties acquired by the DC Code. The denial and prohibition of registrations, as alleged in, I'm not even going to say that, are not isolated, peculiar, accidental incidents. Indeed, unconstitutional law and official policy obligates all DC defendants to deny registration of the Second Amendment protected firearms that law abiding citizens possess for lawful use within DC, and to arrest such individuals for conduct the Second Amendment protects. Accordingly, DC defendants have engaged and continue to engage in a pattern or practice of conduct by law enforcement official that deprives, I'm assuming, people's rights? People of rights secured and protected by the Constitution in violation of 34 USC 12601A, unless the court enjoins DC defendants and grants the declaratory relief of the United States is seeking, all DC defendants will continue to engage in a pattern or practice of conduct described above, which deprives law-abiding citizens of their Second Amendment rights to possess firearms protected under the Second Amendment for lawful purposes such as self-defense in the home. Prayer for relief. Wherefore, the United States hereby prays prays that the court grant the following relief: a declaration that DC defendants are engaged in a pattern of practice or conduct by law enforcement officers that deprives persons of rights, privileges, or immunities secured or protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States in violation of Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act 1994, 34 USC 12601B, including but not limited to a declaration that the pattern and practice by DC defendants of prohibiting registration of the AR-15 by law-abiding citizens violates the Second Amendment, and a declaration that the pattern and practice by DC defendants prohibiting registration of all firearms without an automatic firing mechanism and otherwise protected under the Second Amendment that law-abiding citizens possess violates the Second Amendment. A permanent injunction prohibiting all DC defendants from arresting and levying fines against otherwise law-abiding citizens for possessing the AR-15 and all other firearms protected by the Second Amendment and being possessed or used for lawful purposes. A permanent injunction requiring all DC defendants with a reasonable period of time to enable and allow for the registration of firearms protected under the Second Amendment by all law-abiding citizens, and an award of all such additional relief as the interests of justice may require. Dated December 22nd.
All right. So this is a good thing.
So, yeah, the TLDR, the Pan-Body Justice Department, is suing DC to eliminate the registration or prohibitions from the registration of certain firearms.
Yeah, basically they say the law doesn't specifically ban AR-15s. It allows, but it bans the registration of AR-15s, which basically bans AR-15s. So their thing is, oh, we're not banning AR-15s. We just ban the registration of AR-15s, which means you can't have an AR-15. I did see a comment over here that said someone said, still waiting for no license needed to exercise a fundamental right. How long will that take? There is a case out of Illinois that actually went to a panel decision, and the panel decision said the firearms owner ID card is unconstitutional. It was granted an en banc, and we're waiting for that to get the en banc, because right now that decision is on hold until the Sixth Circuit hears that case. But I do believe that will be dead soon.
So a couple of things. My beef here is one: you have to register a firearm. Show me where that's lawful.
I
That's not
don't think it is.
constitutionally valid. And yeah, so beef with registration, beef with carry permits, those kinds of things. That's all wrong.
Yeah, GOA, they have a saying: registration leads to confiscation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I do believe that registration does lead to confiscation, because what's the point of registering it if you're not going to take them?
Amen.
So registration always leads to confiscation.
Yep. Yep. So okay, Pam Bondi and crew have done the right thing here.
Now, well, I wouldn't say Pam Bondi, or I would say Hermeet Dillon.
Okay,
I'm
so
not giving Pam Bondi any credit for anything.
what judge is this going in front of?
It's going in front of the DC has their own circuit court.
Okay, and
own
that's
district
not
court.
Janine Pirro, is it?
I don't know who's going to get it.
Is it going to be a panel or an individual?
It's going to be individual first. It's the district court level.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't know who's going to get it, because it goes to the district court level, which is a single judge. That judge makes the decision. Whoever wins that appeals to the DC circuit court. The DC circuit court will go to a 3-judge panel of the DC circuit court. Then whoever wins, whoever loses that is going to petition for an en banc to the DC circuit court, and from there. If the DC Circuit Court, the en banc, agrees with the U.S. government in this case, then DC has an interesting decision to make. If you don't recall, in Wren, Brian will a friend of the channel, when so Bruin could have been dealt with a lot sooner. But in Wren, what happened was DC, when they lost on, hey, you have to issue concealed carry permits, DC chose not to file for an en banc because they knew that they were going to lose at the Supreme Court. So we could see that happen here, where they decided, oh, we're not going to file for an en banc. But that's years away. That's nowhere near.
And it's unfortunate that justice moves so slowly. I was kind of shocked to see that Heller was only 5 years for to get a Supreme Court decision. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, but the good thing about this being the United States government, even though the Supreme Court's not supposed to give any preferences to cases brought by the United States government, in all honesty, they do.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that there is a good chance that this will make it all the way up, but I don't think it's going to have to. I think that the Supreme Court is going to take a case before this even gets up to SCOTUS. That's just my personal feeling.
Well, cool.
But we're just going to have to wait and see. Because you never know what the Supreme Court's going to do. You never know what any court's going to do, to tell you the truth. Even though you think you might, and you might have be 90% sure, but there's no way you can be 100% sure at all. 90% sure is even pushing it. I would say 75% sure. You can be 75% sure in a lot of cases, but that would be my top of saying, hey, and we know what the Supreme Court's going to say. And that's only in specific cases. In the assault, in a assault weapons case, I wouldn't even give it. I would say 60%, maybe 50%. I would say 50%. So we'll have to see exactly what happens here. But this is a good thing that the courts have went ahead and well, the United States federal government is suing DC. About time.
So this comment here is, I think this is the case we've all been waiting for.
It
Well,
might be.
I mean, so this isn't an individual suing. This is the federal government suing DC. So when I think of cases, I usually think of somebody having, some sort of infringement, not one government entity suing another government entity.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, right? This case scares me for a little bit as being the case. Because let's say a Democrat wins the next presidential election.
And that this case doesn't get heard till then.
Well, it's definitely not going to get to the Supreme Court by then. So, yeah. There you go. I mean, that would be my fear. I'll just be sitting here waiting for the smaller government I was promised. We all will be.
Ooh, ouch. Ouch. Yeah, that's for damn sure. There's many reasons you'll never get a smaller government, and there's no profit for individuals involved in government to make it smaller.
Yeah, it's amazing that people, they go into government and they make like $170,000 a year, which isn't a lot of money. But yet they come out the other side millionaires. Now, if you or I were making $170,000 a year, we wouldn't be millionaires in a year.
That if I ran for Congress, I'd tell everybody straight up, I want to do it for the pension, the healthcare, and the insider trading.
Yeah,
and of course, do some good things for patriots.
Yeah, the Democrats right now are blocking the insider trading bill.
Is that, well, Pelosi's retiring. She's got nothing to look forward to.
Yeah,
she's only beat the street by 400%.
Yeah, it's crazy. Polar Knights. What? My name was not in those files, Polar Knights.
Your name wasn't in the Epstein files?
No, they were not.
Not as crew on the flight or anything like that?
No, they were not.
Free poos. Oh, I had a booze joke with Nancy Pelosi, but I'm going to pass.
All right. So we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sure I'll speak.
Don't forget, Tim Hoffman shot first.
Tim Hoffman shot first. He definitely did. Was that a reference to who made the super safety first?
Yes.
Is that a super safety on the handle?
No, it is, but it could be. I could put the HT in there.
It looks like it, kind of.
That'd be cool. I could do that.
All right, guys. So with that, if I don't talk to you before Christmas, which I'm sure I'll definitely talk to you, Rich, because I got to send you over some stuff. Oh, the social media stuff is set up, by the way.
Oh, okay, cool. Don't tell everybody.
I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked on that. I already got that set up.
All right, cool.
But with that, we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much for watching. If I don't talk to you guys before Christmas, have a Merry Christmas. I'm sure I will, because there are a couple of days that something always happens. And it's either on Christmas Eve or the day after Christmas.
Yep. Document dumps.
So I'm sure I'll be talking to you on Christmas Eve or the day after Christmas, because that's when they try to bury stuff that they want to dump out there without people getting too upset because people aren't paying attention. Right. But unfortunately for them, the anti-gun people in the government, I pay attention.
Are you saying that's when Trump's going to invade Venezuela because nobody will be paying attention?
Maybe.
I don't think he's going to invade. I think he's just going to starve them out.
Hey, did you hear my idea about the privateer thing?
Yes.
About like starting a pirate cruise.
I'm in. I know how to
Bring your
navigate.
kids' birthday parties. They actually privateering Venezuelan ships. I think that'd be a great business plan.
I'm in.
I'm ready.
You got a beach house. We can put the boat there.
Oh yeah. Yep. That's where I'm at right now.
Let's arm up.
All right, guys. I'll see you guys later. And remember.
Remember the Hoover family when you buy on Amazon, and if their Amazon wish list comes past you, and you have the ability to do something that would be wonderful.
Yeah, Matt's making videos again, so that's cool.
Matt's out. So best Christmas gift ever to his family, and of course us that are his friends. It's great hearing from him without everybody listening in.
They could still couches. Thank you, Xanthi.
We'll call it the couch return vessel, the ship.
Yeah. What the Revenge of the Couch?
Revenge of the Couch.
If you guys don't know, the cargo ship that I ordered a special order couch that took months and months and months. So it was being shipped over here, and it was going off the coast of Somalia, where the cargo ship. This was a couple years ago, where the cargo ship got seized by Somali pirates.
So Ilhan Omar's brother's sleeping on that couch now.
Yeah, so I had to get another couch. They had to make me another couch, and I never got my original couch, which is probably still in Somalia somewhere.
Some warlord's footstool.
Yeah, some warlord has my couch. So, yeah, but a cargo ship, when they called it, like, hey, your couch isn't going to come because the cargo ship got taken by Somali pirates. So I was like, no way. I looked it up and called Rich. I was like, read this article. Rich read it. I was like, that's where my couch was.
Hold on. Where do we find government auctions? Do they have Navy ships that we can,
They do have Navy ships. I don't think they're armed, but we can rearm them.
Mm-hmm. I'm in.
Yeah, it is funny, him, Gabriel, but it wasn't funny at the time. Actually, it was pretty funny at the time. I think I did laugh about it. But whatever. All right. That one site had a tank. Yep. When we're going through the government auctions. Yep. All right, guys. That's it. See you guys later, and bye.